And by the way, I've reviewed this entire case and I've looked up any Florida citations. None of them have to do with special district. None of them are on point at all. These are the most trash citations I've ever seen for a case like this. Trying to bring the special district into federal court is unprecedented. And that's why trying to set this precedent of we're going to have a constitutional, right? A literal Article 1 claim. Look, constitutional claim. So every single contract between any private entity, right? Because they don't make a distinction, and a government, they think that should be a federal claim. This is
go big or go home, baby.
To every single private entity bringing a federal claim. If one thing federal judges are, it's lazy as fuck. They will never allow this one to fly. That's why, for that reason alone, this gets blown out of the water. This first contract clause argument gets blown out, absolutely out of the water, right?
Even Supreme Courts don't like to have massive ripple effects by and large. I mean, think about just some lowly little entry-level federal court judge. That I mean, they ain't going to want to rock the boat.
No, not at all. Second cause of action is once again, this is property law. Eminent domain, which is also takings. Whenever you see takings clause, that's eminent domain. It stems out of Article 5, right? And Article 14 as well, the Constitution. But it is really quintessentially state law and governed by state property law. Yes, it derives of the Constitution, but each of the states has applied that. They have laws regarding eminent domain, which often are more strict than the federal requirements. So, but yet they tried to make this takings case, right? Because they say that Disney's property has been taken without just compensation, right? That the actions of the board are taking their property without compensation.
175 is insane.
What?
What the hell are they talking about, Andrew?
Yeah, look at this. Can you read that? Can you read 175 for me?
Contract rights are a form of property and as such may be taken for a public purpose provided that just compensation is paid.
Right? So they're trying to argue that whatever contractual right they had in these development agreements, that's being taken without just compensation. And once again, once you start opening these doors to every single contract being a federal takings case, so your contract is breached, so all contracts are going to go to federal court now?
Well,
Are
Andrew,
you fucking kidding me?
This is why I said this is insane. Would that not, therefore, if that precedent were set, allow someone who disagrees with their homeowners association changing some sort of rule, going to federal court and claiming, hey, something of value has been lost because my HOA changed something that I don't like, and therefore I have a claim under the
takings clause.
Yes.
Yeah, even though it's a private entity, right? You know, it's like it's really insane. And here's the thing: ultimately, right? Disney is not losing or is not lost or gained anything so far. All of those rights, by the way, they're concerned about. And let me be very clear: it's very technical, wonky stuff. But what Disney is concerned about is what's called development rights. There's things called, for example, environmental mitigation credits, development credits. They have, for example, when you go to develop land, you have a certain amount of rooms, for example, for hotels, keys, they call them, right? So you're allowed to build a certain amount of hotel rooms. And what Disney wants is to maintain those development rights, saying, okay, within this area, we want to maintain those development rights. But those rights always were with Reedy Creek.
Right,
Reedy Creek
which is to me legally, unless I'm reading this wrong, Andrew, I find this all to be legally delusional, meaning that you go from being able to first operate in what is a privileged tax district to now I've got like some rights that I'm creating for myself to develop these this thing the way I want. And somehow that leapfrogs now into contract rights that now are guaranteed by the Constitution. This is the biggest crock of like, if this is like, in track and field, they have the triple jump. This is the triple jump of Disney legal delusion.
It's mental gymnastics. Andrew, real quick, I'm curious.
This is insane. Yeah.
What is it? Could you clarify for me and maybe for the audience as well? What is it exactly when we talk about, the legislative declaration takes Disney's property? Would you please explain exactly what Disney is claiming? We're talking real property here?
No. So for
exactly,
for this,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
They're not talking about real property at all. They're trying to say, oh, our credits are being taken. Our development credits are being taken.
Yeah.
Nobody's taking anything. They're still with the district like they were before. They always were with the district, right? These credits are always with the district. When I represented the nearby Bonnet Creek district, right? They had development credits as well, which rest with the district, right? The developer is entitled to use them and they negotiate with them on using those, right? But those credits are still held by the district. They're still maintained by the district because the district has ongoing obligations in terms of environmental mitigation. So for example, this is the deal, right? So Reedy Creek has to maintain wetlands, right? They have a duty. They have to maintain these wetlands because Florida wants to, love the environment and all that good stuff because Florida has those laws, by the way, right?
Yep.
Where if you want to build a hotel, you got to maintain some conservation land.
Yep.
So they have an ongoing duty to maintain those swamps, to keep those gators chomping, right? They, in exchange for that duty, they're given the ability to build their hotels.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that has always rested with the district. It's not being taken from anybody. Disney never had it to begin with.
Yeah.
I hope the subsequent points get better.
Yeah.
If the subsequent claims are worse than this, I can't even imagine. This is pathetic.
Yeah,
these are opening salvos.
This is just absolutely. I mean, honestly, guys, it shows to me how these people do not understand property law. Fundamentally, this is why lawyers specialize, right? We're all specialists. And look, I'm not Steve Gosney, right? And thank you, Steve, for saying he's a lawyer over there. He's an expert public defender. He's an expert guy. If I'm talking about defense law, criminal defense, I'm talking with Steve because that's his area of expertise. I just watch these trials and I comment pretty much as an educated, in an entertaining, funny way. But I never say I'm some trial lawyer who's an expert in trial. No, my expert is special districts, bitch. This is my house, right? Yeah. Steve says right here, I can't believe I'm geeking out on real property law. It's a spectacular stream. Great panel mindset. Appreciate you, brother. And keep up your good content and keep up, dude. You've been producing books every 2 seconds. So good job on that, brother. So
see, y'all think it looks ridiculous. I kind of scanned through this, and my first impression was, yeah, it looks kind of crazy, even with my layman's glance. But it just looks like spaghetti against a wall for Disney to me. It's just let's see what sticks.
When you're a lawyer looking at this, you're like, what the fuck is this? Like this would the precedent this would set, the legal arguments they're making. This wouldn't fly.
Oh my God, the Fifth fucking Amendment. No, they didn't.
They did. They Fifth Amendment.
No.
That's how they're trying to elicit federal action. Well, it's a constitutional violation, Judge. That's why we're in federal court.
And mind you, guys, understand. I want to go back here and kind of let's see if I can just kind of look up here. So this is page 67, right? So you want to look at the structure here, right? Page 1 through pretty much 46. Oh, no, sorry, 59, 1 through 59. 59 pages is them giving what they call facts. Really, it's their butthurt feelings, right?
Yes.
So it is 59
and then they did this, Daddy, and they did that, and they did this, and they did that, and Daddy did this, and Daddy did that.
And then they dissolved Pixie Dusters. They dissolved Reedy Creek right up there. I think it's D on that list. That's why I was like,
but I swear it wasn't dissolved.
All right, so we're at the contracts was one. Second one we just did
taking was 3. So by the way, I'm just going to point this out. 59 to 69. So they got about 10, 11 pages of actual legal argument. That's it. 77 pages and 10 of legal argument. That is a fucking joke. And
wow.
By the way,
so they're not even getting it in the body of this, because I've read a lot of, and look, not like you, but I've read enough. So they're not even getting into, because normally they'll get into the argument of the case. They might cite the case law, but they'll get into, so they're basically just dropping citations and saying, wham. I mean, they're basically just saying, this is our position, and they're dropping these bullshit case laws that don't even apply, and they're not even arguing the merits of where they're coming from.
No, not at all. So let's get into number 65, right? Page 65. Let's jump right down to page 65, where we get to the third cause of action, which is talking about due process. Once again, they're trying to argue a 14th Amendment. This is literally the same type of thing they would try to pull for some racial bullshit, saying they're being discriminated against, whatever.
Right.
They are claiming they are being deprived of life, liberty, and process of property without due process of law, a 14th Amendment violation.
On
And
what
here's
basis?
what they say.
On what basis? It's the fucking state legislature. If that's not due process of law, what is, Andrew?
Right here, they say, oh, well, any state or local entity cannot adopt any arbitrary or irrational legislative act affecting a person's rights. This is actually a true statement of the law, right?
And so they want to jump with person state-created rights to what, the Citizens United, and that's now they're Disney as a person?
But wait a minute. It's a special district. It's not Disney.
Exactly. And on top of that, this standard right here, this little standard, arbitrary and irrational, almost anything flies under that. Literally, almost never do you see cases overturned as arbitrary and capricious. It does not happen. That is the lowest possible standard.
I'm
lowest
amazed.
possible standard.
I'm amazed.
Andrew, what
this
you're
is all they have.
showing, Andrew,
they're trying to say, look at this. They're trying to say
their ass kicked, and they
that
know
because DeSantis is retaliating, that removes any possible purpose. That's not how this works. That's not how this works at all.
They would have to be Reedy Creek. They're not. They don't. I don't understand how they can possibly make that argument in court.
Exactly. Everything that happened under Reedy Creek, which by the way is gone, so there's
Oh
no
my God,
standing
look at what
because
you
it's
just
not even
read.
a party.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, they actually put this in the filing?
They put this in the
What
this
you
is the real
highlighted?
filing.
No, what you highlighted? It was instead enacted to further an official state campaign. An official state campaign. God, that sounds so common.
Official state, like it's like Florida approved, like Florida brand retaliation. Yeah.
Against Disney for expressing a viewpoint that Governor DeSantis and his legislative allies disagree with. Wow.
This is in their actual filing, and they're trying to say,
wow.
So what they're trying to create here, guys, is every time a government actor says something that is against your viewpoint, you can go to federal court as a major corporation and get it overturned. This is big corporations trying to take over America. If you want to see big corporations and what they think in their entitlement, Disney is the #1 example, which is why I love people like WW Pro, Valiant, and Mexican Ironman who covered Disney, because Disney sets the tone for other large American corporations. This is why this case is so massive, because Disney is going to set the blueprint. If Disney is allowed to do this, Apple, Google, everybody else is going to try the same bullshit. All these woke corporations, Bud Light, yeah, they're going to be trying to pull this too. Every single one of them. Absolutely ridiculous.
I'm amazed. There's nothing of substance here. Not only is there nothing of substance, but they are essentially placing themselves into the positions whereby they would gain some sort of standing, except that those entities don't even exist. There's not even an entity to be wronged.
And further on that, even further, look at this. Who are they talking about? The CTFOB. Well, guess what? You didn't name him as a party, did you, buddy? I mean, look right here. Look what it says. Disney is entitled to a declaration that the arbitrary and irrational violates due process, right? They're entitled to enjoining the defendants from enforcing, but you didn't include the district itself.
Right. They're not a defendant.
They can be because of the bond issue. I mean, they just
and that's where they knew
if
they
it. Go there, then they're shooting it's like having a handgun and shooting your left arm.
But they're kind of they're like, oh, I'm not going to shoot the left arm. I'm going to shoot the right one.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like as if it's not connected to the body. Like they're missing the fucking point.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Tank Rat, you cannot be more true. Dude who wrote this lawsuit like a rookie at a law school. Oh yeah. And guys, everybody who sent the super chat, I'm getting to them. We're going to go through them. I just want to make sure we get to these clauses because we're going to wrap here in about 15. So I want to make sure that I've got everything.
Well, so Andrew, real quick, I don't want to take too much time, but given just how ridiculous these claims are,
sure.
Do you think that, I mean, I know that Disney wants to try to run out the clock, but do you think that there's some repercussions from this, from people saying you wasted so much of our time and money? I mean,
I think there's
what's the backlash here?
I think there's repercussions both politically in terms of losing their political capital in Florida, certainly with Republicans, but even I think with Democrats are like, dude, we can't justify this because you're kind of screwing over now residents of the state of Florida. Like they're gonna.
This is a legal tantrum. This is what this amounts to. It's a legal tantrum.
Yeah. So that's going to come down. And these last two causes of action, let me get these real quick. I can hit them together. The fourth cause of action is First Amendment, and so is the fifth, right? And essentially, what these are saying is the statements by Disney and some of the board members, the statements by Ron DeSantis and some of the board members, because they are mean statements.
Meanie face.
Mean face. And because Disney's statements, they're trying to say, oh, we are protected by the First Amendment on our statements. Those are completely irrelevant because the action was taken against Reedy Creek, which is a separate body. None of your alleged retaliation was against you. It doesn't apply to you at all. It applied previously to Reedy Creek, which is now gone, and now the Central Florida Tourism District. You have no standing to bring this.
That's what I kept thinking is how quickly would they dismiss some of these claims, not the whole suit necessarily, but maybe some of these claims of just no legal standing because, that and the fact that why didn't the former board members of the former Reedy Creek file this lawsuit instead? Maybe that would have looked better. But it's like with Disney doing it, to me, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It does not make any sense whatsoever.
But Disney has to do it this way.
They have to do it.
They have to do it this way in their own minds.
I know that. I know that's what they're thinking. Right. And that's my point is that this is why I get back to this is just it's a shell game. It's a run the clock game. It's last desperate act of Disney at this point because they've got nowhere left to go. And that's why this whole thing looks like a bunch of wet spaghetti up against a wall. Let's see if we can get something
my overall reaction is this. If Disney is willing to literally do shit like this for a district that either they have, are, and will lose tens of billions, possibly hundreds of billions of dollars, this is one hell of a woke hill that they're going to die on. And this is why I agree with Andrew that this company needs to burn to the ground and die. And those people that are apologists and rooting for Disney to be saved, Disney to be turned around. Oh, I think Disney's like, oh, we're firing the woke purge is on.
It's not.
No, it's not. Read this. This is a company that right now, this week, this month, is paying what, Andrew? $1,500 to $2,500 an hour to these idiots?
Yeah,
file this thing.
And Disney is admitting. Everybody, by the way, understand what they're confessing here, right? They're saying in these clauses, right, that what they were doing was political speech. This
is a company that is filing a case in federal court because they're pissed off that parents should have a right to what their kids get sexualized content K through 3. This is the hill that you're Disney. So anyone out there watching the show, those of you that are Disney fans, Disney apologists, Disney shills, or you're sitting here having an argument that this company is going to get fixed and it's going through some kind of woke purge and it's going to emerge better because of capitalism. No, it's not. This company is showing that it is willing to lose literally tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars and file a case in federal court versus, guess what? Working shit out and keeping it special district. That is the hill that this company's dying on. And if we let them do this, then here's what I learned from Andrew. If this company actually is anyone reasonably successful with this, our country falls because then the corporations can wreak havoc on all of us individually and collectively.